Hey everybody, and welcome into this video. So my name's Ben Lee, and today I've got a z-barb, which stands for zero damage barbarian build, like support group play build. This is a build that's going to be run by our support guy Nori, and he's been very kind enough to do us a whole write-up for this, as well as a step-by-step leveling guide for which skills to take in what order. So if you're interested in playing a support barbarian, or if you've got someone that you want in your group to help buff you through, there is a ton of amazing supports, like synergies and skills that barbarians have and bring to the table when it comes to Diablo 4. The shouts are absolutely crazy with some of the stuff, loads of like move speed and like resource regeneration. There's like taunts and stuff. So let's jump straight into it here. Here we have the overview. So I'll go through some of this stuff and I'll give you guys the link for this as well, so that you can get your hands on this. But I won't go through it all because otherwise we'll be here all day. So basically the overview, right? Buff and heal the group with shout skills while tanking and stacking up bleeds to help reset the cooldown of your shout skills with flay basic attacks. So currently no resource spenders in the build, as you're a utility and benefit to the group. Your damage is basically like pool noodles, if you know those woggles, with spikes, because somehow you managed to make things bleed. And then no, this build is intended to allow for a simple skill hot swap to help maximize the utility group in certain scenarios. So when he came up with this build, he kind of came up with like a mobbing version and a bossing version, and then I said, can you just put it all into one so that I could like give this information out to the community? So here's the group bennies. All right, this is our benefit. So Rallying Cry gives 30% movement speed and also 56% resource generation for 4 seconds. That alone is going to make your group feel amazing. An extra 30% movement speed plus that resource gen. I honestly can't tell you how nice it's going to feel to level and play with a support barbarian just from this alone. But then we have Warcry that gives us a damage increase. And then here, all shouts. Enemies deal 12% less damage, and shouts heal allies for 3% of max life per second. So you've got heals and stuff thrown in there as well. And then mob control, there's the skill Steel Grasp to group enemies. That's like throw out chains and bring them in. And then ground stomp for a 4-second stun. And then you've also got challenging shout, which allows you to be the tank of a group. So really, really good utility. There's some information on uniques here. One that I just want to point out is the Rage of Paragon. Is that how you say it? It's lucky hit. It's a 20 to 40% chance to reduce the cooldown of your non-ultimate skills by 1.5 seconds when you inflict bleed on enemies. So this is to be able to keep your shouts up really, really high. But there's also a nice legendary aspect for this, right? And then this is the bread and butter of uniques for the z-barb, as it helps us reset our non-ultimate cooldown even faster with flame. And then let's go to playstyle. So you are the group BoomBox. I love this. Shouting on cooldown like you're trying to drop a hot new single to attract all those hot demons in your area. Nori's written this out. Amazing. Use intimidating to help focus heavy hitters on yourself instead of the group. Flay them all. Flay is basically all you do damage wise to trigger your Rage of Paragon. This one, with its 50% lucky hit proc coefficient, so 10 to 20% chance on hit to trigger this. Now you might never get this, but it's a unique. If you do, fantastic. When mobbing, have ground stomp and steel grasp to equip and group up enemies and stun for your party to go wild. When bossing, swap ground stomp and steel grasp to rupture and berserking. This will pair with Flay to help trigger Rage of Paragon, allowing you to shout those hot new singles nearly unendingly. So you can see the kind of like hot swapping mentality of this, but it's a bit min-maxy. It depends if you want to do that or not. Then we've got like a bunch of the aspects. Technique, this is what you're saying about the one-handed sword expertise, one-handed mace expertise, requires a bit of testing. Then the skill tree and Paragon, we're going to go through the board in a moment. And then, yeah, let's like gear affix priority. You've got like plus skills to Warcry, plus skills to rallying, depending on group composition and requirements. Cooldown reduction, shout cooldown reduction, any damage reduction, resistances, anything with strength plus willpower for your Paragon. Lucky hit chance, attack speed, fortify regeneration. And then here we've got the picking order as well for the skills going all the way down. So let's hop over and take a look. With your skill tree, I'm just going to kind of go through this quite quickly, all right? We've got Flay and we got Enhanced Flay. That's going to give you a chance for a vulnerable as well, so that's going to be amazing. Then we're coming down for Combat Flay. When Flay deals direct damage to an enemy, you gain 3% damage reduction. We're coming back up and we're putting another 3 points into Flay because we want to skip all of this here. Then we've got Rallying Cry, so we're going to pick up a point in Rallying Cry. This is going to give us, say, the move speed and resource regeneration. It's 6 seconds for yourself, 3 seconds for allies. And then Ground Stomp, we're going to be doing this one so that we can stun our enemies, taking then Enhanced Rallying Cry and then Strategic Rallying Cry. This is going to give you a bit of Fortify to make you a bit tanky as well. Then we're going to come over and we're going to take Challenging Shout. So 1 point in here for Challenging Shout. This is going to taunt nearby enemies and gain 40% damage reduction for 6 seconds. Then we're going to come straight down here and we're going to take War Cry. So this is going to increase the damage we deal for 6 seconds for yourself and 3 seconds for a party member. From here, we're going to take Booming Voice times 3. This gives your shout skills increased duration, which is absolutely amazing. Then we're going to come for Raid Leader for a point in that. And then we're going to take Steel Grasp. 1 point in there, so we've just got the skill. And then we're going to come back up for War Cry, and we're going to put 4 points into there to max that one out. Coming over here, then we're going to take the other 2 points into Raid Leader, so our shouts are also doing quite nice heals. Then we're going to put some more points into Rallying Cry to max out this one. From here, we're going to come down to Enhanced Steel Grasp to make enemies vulnerable as well. And then we're going to take Warrior Steel Grasp to gain an additional charge. From here, we're coming up to Swiftness. We're going to take 3 points in this to increase our move speed. That plus the shouts is just going to make Barbarian feel really nice to play. And then we're going to go for the Guttural. This one here is going to make enemies deal less damage from our shouts. So a nice bit of DR for the team there. We're going to put 3 points into that one. Then we're going to do Quick Impulses. Quick Impulses here is going to reduce the duration of any crowd controlling effects on yourself so that you can get out of CC faster. And then we're coming up for Enhanced Ground Stomp. That's going to increase the duration by 1 second. And then Imposing Presence. Here we're going to be boosting our maximum life. And then we're going to put another 2 points here into Martial Vigor. A nice bit of damage reduction for ourselves there. Then we're going to take Enhanced Challenging Shout. And then come down to Enhanced War Cry. And also Challenging Shout times 4. Boost this one up to be able to get that damage reduction even higher. From here, Duelist times 2. This is going to increase the attack speed by 6% when using one-handed weapons. Be able to like proc more lucky hits basically. And then for the last section here, as they are primarily only become useful once you have the Rage of Haragoth's unique, this is where we've kind of got these points for the hot swap. So you've got like Wrath of the Berserker to give you berserking. We're going to pick up the last point here in Strategic Ground Stomp to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate by 1 second. And then we've also got Rapture that we're going to take down here, coming down to Enhance, coming down to Warriors. And that's just going to help with a little bit of bossing. So coming over here, then obviously we've got the Rallying Cry, the War Cry, the Challenging Shout. You'll be firing these ones off. Ground Stomp for some CC, Flay for bleed and like vulnerable, Steel Grasp be able to like group up our enemies and things. And then for the moment, we've put the one-handed sword in with our legendaries here. So not all of these ones, like my other builds, kind of leveling builds, are ones that you can guaranteed get, like the Exploiters aspect here. You'd have to like find this, but this is just, again, like kind of like a perfect scenario without having any uniques. So Disobedience for armor is going to be absolutely fantastic on pretty much every single build. Then we've got Anemia here, which is lucky hits against bleeding enemies, has a 20% chance to stun them for 2 seconds. So, you know, you're going to be doing that with your Flay. This is going to proc every now and then, so you're going to be able to get some stuns off, maybe on some harder elites, or just build up that stagger bar on bosses. Exploiters aspect here, you have 20% increased crowd control duration, which is going to be great for supporting your team, but also while enemies are unstoppable, you deal 20 to 50% increased damage to them. Aspect of the Might, basic skills grant 20% damage reduction. Can't go wrong with that one, a bit of extra defense. Ghost Walker for after unstoppable, we're going to be gaining move speed, pass through enemies. Then we've got Rapid for basic attack speed. It's going to help us proc lucky hits. Smiting for the increased crit strike and damage while healthy. Coming over with protecting aspect. When hit while not healthy, a magic bubble comes out. That's going to save you and your team, because everybody from your team can go in there and becomes immune. That's it's really nice, actually. It's really handy, especially on like hardcore. Then we've got the Bear Clan. So killing an enemy while berserking has a 40% chance to grant increased cooldown reduction to your brawling skills. That one's going to help us with War Cry. And then we've got the Bold Chieftain's one. So whenever you cast a shout, its cooldown is reduced by 2.7, sorry, to 5.4. I cannot stress how important this is for the build. Out of everything that you've got here, you want to try and get this as close to maximum as possible. This is going to absolutely change the build and the shouts and how often you have these up, like dramatically. Very, very important for the Bold Chieftains aspect. Then we've got Edge Masters. So skills deal extra damage based on your available primary resource, and that's going to be at full, so it's just extra damage. And then aspect of retribution. So distant enemies have an 8% chance to be stunned. And then you deal increased damage to stunned enemies, and you do have some stunned as well. So when it comes to the Paragon board, we've also got this one here. So this is a 4-boarder. And you can see we're taking things like there's a bit of extra physical damage and some extra life, extra armor, and some life things here. But the most important thing, because you can just kind of copy and paste this, right, is that we have Martial straight away. So this is going to grant a bonus to our magic nodes, but really importantly, after casting a shout skill, the active cooldowns of every other shout skill is also reduced. So you're going to be able to spam your shouts even more. Super strong. That's on our starting board. The next board we're going to take is Blood Rage. And so with this, we're going to basically come straight up on here, come into the middle. So we've got a bit of damage to bleeding enemies. We've got some damage reduction from enemies that are bleeding, some more strength and things there. But here, for every 5 willpower purchases within range, you deal 1.5% increased bleeding damage. But then again, this one really important, killing a bleeding enemy has a 10% chance to reduce the cooldowns of one of your non-ultimate skills, active cooldowns by 1 second, again reducing those shouts. More heals, more damage reduction, more uptime on move speed, etc. So that is Disembowel Glyph. Then we're going to come over to the right hand side here to the Hemorrhage board. We're coming up to take Control Impaired duration reduction so that we don't get CC'd as long, less damage over time, taking in the rare node here, the fleeting rare node. We're also coming down to these magic nodes, so damage reduction from enemies that are bleeding again, so more damage reduction for you here. And then we're going to come in for Territorial. So every 5 dexterity purchase within range, you deal 2% increased damage to close targets. But then again, also we've got you gain 10% damage reduction against close enemies. So as a support, we don't need to worry about the damage too much, but we do have that damage reduction. And then coming up here, we've got some poison resistance and some armor. So just a bit more of extra defense here so that you don't necessarily need to get poison resistance on your equipment. You could take those slots on your items and put it in with a different one. And then we've got Bone Breaker. So we're coming down into here, and we're going to come across to pick up these Fortify generation and damage reduction while fortified. Also picking up the Bone Breaker legendary node. Overpowers with your 2-handed bludgeoning weapon, stun enemies for 4 seconds, and grant you 25% of your maximum life as Fortify, so that you can get a bit of extra Fortify here. And again, this is to do with the hot swapping. And then coming down, we've got some more life, some more armor, more life and armor, until we come down to the nodes down here. So we've got Undaunted. Every 5 willpower purchase within range, you deal 1.5% increased damage while Fortify, but you gain 10% damage reduction the more Fortify you have. So a Paragon board based on defense and cooldown reduction. That's kind of the build. Apart from our gems here, we've got basic skill damage, because you're going to be doing that, max life, and then you've got resistance to all elements, or you've got armor, but you might find that this is better for late game. So let me know what you guys think down below. I wanted to go over that like nice and quickly. You know, with this, you're just going to be spamming on your shouts. You're going to be grouping up enemies, doing like bleed and vulnerable and stunning. So overall, I feel like this is going to be huge to be able to support a team, especially if you've got like 3 other people and you're doing all of these buffs like loads and loads. And once you get this one here and you can reduce that cooldown when there's loads of nearby enemies everywhere, this is going to be insane. insane, because you're going to basically be able to just spam these, spam it, spam it, spam it, spam it, and everyone's going to have all these buffs all the time. I think it's going to be amazing. And again, another massive shout out to Nori. Thank you so much for the build. And yeah, guys, you catch me live at twitch.tv/Bentley_TV. Like and sub for more D4 content, and obviously links to everything down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in game, right? Peace out.